Okay, I'm going to keep it short this week because I don't want to get into a rant, but I've just been doing some research work on Etsy and I feel compelled to come on here and say if you are an Etsy seller, there is some really bad advice going around, has been for some time, and I implore you to hear me out. Okay, we've all heard that advice whereby you are told to go and see what your competition is doing and be inspired by them, but don't copy. Model what's working for them, but don't copy. Whatever the wordage is, it's always fluffy words to describe copying. And I don't want to hear anybody saying, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We all know it. Now, before I get into why it's a bad idea, I just want to say I do understand the logic behind that advice. And in some cases, it is good advice, but not when you're dealing with a platform like Etsy, where it's usually saturated as heck. It's like a lot of advice that goes around the internet. It works well for some people in some situations, but it's not a one size fits all. If you are selling something and you have a fair amount of competition, and let's be honest, on Etsy, who of us doesn't, going in and being inspired by your competition and modeling what's working for them and doing the same is just making more of the same. And the people who only really win that race are the people who started it in the first place. Everybody else becomes diluted down cookie cutter noise. And you might get some sales here and there, but you will not have the same success as the person who originally came up with the concept or the idea or the whatever. Most of you will be familiar with Seth Godin and his whole purple cow thingamajiggy. Well, if all of the cows start painting themselves purple because it worked for that purple cow over there, then what you end up is a field full of purple cows. And now you have to do something different to stand out. This is what I was on Etsy for. I too go on to see what my competition is doing, but I don't want to copy them or be inspired by them or model what they're doing. I want to do something else. So if they're zigging, I want to zag. If they're purple, I want to be yellow. See my point? If your marketplace has got competition and Etsy has competition seeping from every pore, you need to find a way to stand out. And I know you lot are a creative bunch. If you're following me here, it's because you have creativity and you use it and you're trying to make money from it. So I know that you've got the ideas in you. And frankly, I don't want to see another carbon copy of something else. I want to see what you bring to the table. I'm inviting you today to trust your own eye, your own ideas, and your own way of doing things. Trust yourself and bring what you do to the table and try and do something different. Maybe even if it's in your photographs, maybe if you can't be that different with your item because it's, I don't know, a supply or something, you can be different in your photographs. You can stand out by doing something different. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Although I personally shouldn't complain, because when I went on to check out what I want to do and how I could stand out, it was relatively easy because everybody's pretty much doing the same. That is my takeaway for this week, in a bit of a slightly highly strung, ranty way. I love you all, but please do yourself a favor. Don't just become more noise on Etsy, because you won't be doing yourself any favors. Do what you do, by all means, but do it in a way that makes you different from everyone else. Go on there. Go and have a look at your competition, see who's doing something similar and see what you can do differently, because I know you have it in you. And good God, from looking at Etsy, it really does need some originality back on that platform. But I'll stop there. I'll see you next week.